Hello, I am Dr. Angela Harden Mack. Super excited to be here at this amazing event, the Spiritual Growth Forum. I tell you, I have enjoyed the presentations. I have been nourished. How about you? So I want to let you know that this is an opportunity as a speaker. It's an opportunity as a participant, and it is absolutely amazing. Thank you to the host. Greetings. Thank you to the fellow speakers and to you, the attendees, whether you're watching live or you will be watching the replay. I want to say greetings. I am excited for this opportunity to talk about spirituality in a way that relates to our self-care. Now, spirituality, this opportunity to gather with other individuals to talk about this topic that's so important, it truly is phenomenal. Spirituality, when we have the opportunity to tap into and connect with the essence of who we are. Spirituality centers us, it grounds us, it keeps us focused on our purpose, and with that alignment to purpose, our power, that genius and giftedness that we have. And when these things are in alignment, it is about prospering, to thrive, to increase, to flourish, to elevate, to expand, and also to deepen. Spirituality, and tonight I'll share with you about inner self-care. That's right, not just self-care, but inner self-care. I'll talk to you just a little bit about this hustle culture that we find ourselves in. And then I'll talk to you about feminine energy. That is pretty exciting. And I want to share with you how these are related. And by discussing inner self-care and discussing feminine energy, it gives us the opportunity to go to another level, to unlock that radiance so that we can become magnetic and unstoppable, so that you can be the woman that you were designed to be, radiant and irresistible and magnetic. So inner self-care and spirituality. Now, if you've been with us here in these days during the forum, you know that there have been a number of things that have been repeated. You heard it from this speaker and this speaker. And so tonight, when I say it, I want to begin by saying, you know, we are spiritual beings. Yes, we're in a body. Yes, we're in this physical container, but we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And you've heard that a number of times during the forum. So we are here with our bodies connecting to and experiencing the physical realm, but we are spirit beings. So to talk about connecting with, tapping into our spirituality, the way we show up in the world, the way we serve according to purpose and genius, it's important because yes, while not all of us are serving continuously and directly in spheres where it's about faith and spirituality, we have the opportunity according to our unique design and purpose to minister and serve according to our gifts. And many times we may say our spiritual gifts. So we are spirit beings here in this realm, physical realm, enjoying, and I want to say enjoying this spiritual, this physical, I should say, experience. Now you're probably saying, Dr. Angela, first of all, tell me about this inner self-care and why should we even be interested in this? Well, the inner self, really the essence of who we are, our thoughts, our emotions, even the words that we say, self-talk, and what we release into the atmosphere. This really is who we are. And when we have the opportunity to be, because we should focus on who we are in our essence before we do and have, when we have this opportunity to be, life is amazing and life is grand. But you know, there are some challenges, there are some hurdles, there are some obstacles in life that can make it difficult for us to express who we are, or sometimes even before we have this awakening, this discovery of this inner part of who we are. So talking about spirituality, talking about the inner self, these things are important. Now, the inner world, the inner self, creates the outer world. So what we think, what we feel, what we say creates it. And there are multiple disciplines that tell us about this and give us the information, whether we're in the faith realm, and the Bible tells us that as a man thinks, so is he, or for the ladies, as a woman thinks, so is he, and that we recognize a tree by the fruit that it bears. From the personal development space or sphere, we have books and we have workshops that talk about mindset, the growth versus the fixed, and talk about the power of the mind and unlocking the subconscious mind and understanding the unconscious mind and things that may be there that we weren't aware of that may hold us back or that block us. So understanding the mind. And there is a book, one of the favorites, classics for personal development, As a Man Thinks. And then there is a manifestation. And how many of you say, yes, I know about manifestation. Yes, I believe it. And if you're there and you're in the chat, you can go ahead and type in manifestation. And you know, whether we're just getting started with it or whether we have some experience with it, manifestation relates to the inner person. Manifestation is that process where the thought becomes the thing, where we conceive it here and we line up, we bring into alignment our emotions and our words, and then, you know, we allow, right? There's some things we do to allow this to come into being, our desire, what we're manifesting. You know, we don't want to add resistance, we want to let it come. So how a thought becomes a thing. Now, you may be new, you may be a manifestation expert, you may be a manifestation mentor. And, you know, we come into our introduction to manifestation different ways and different laws. Now, the law of attraction is very common, and many of us will say, yeah, so I remember that, or that's how I was introduced to it. And there are a number of laws. Well, the law of attraction was my go-to until I learned about the law of correspondence, which states the outer world reflects the inner world. I thought about that and I'm like, wow, that's really good stuff. And that inspired me and excited me. And it was also and continues to be a great reminder that what I see here, my external or outer world, is a reflection of my inner world. So if what I see, what I have, what I am experiencing is not my desire or what I want, that's a good check and balance for me. That's a reminder for me, an inspiration to go back and say, Angela, what have you been thinking lately? What are you focusing your thoughts and your mental energy on? Check in with your emotions. How are you feeling? Are your emotions lining up with what you want? Are your words lining up with what you want? One of my faith teachers years ago would use this phrase. She would say, you have to put pressure on your mouth, meaning if what you're saying is not what you want, check it. Put pressure on it. Make sure that this lines up with what you want. So as I look around and I am taking stock of my environment, if I don't have what I'm manifesting, it may be that I'm in that waiting period while it is materializing, while it is coming to me, that time of waiting. Or if it's very different, again, check in. Thoughts, emotions, and words. So my outer world reflects my inner world. And it's so important for us to take time to focus on that inner world. If you know about the power of manifestation, you can say yes. Now, radiance, I mentioned earlier, magnetic or magnetism, I believe that was in the description I had, and unstoppable. Dr. Angela, yeah, okay. You've talked about inner self and you've talked about spirituality. Are these things really related to what I can think about when it relates to my spirituality? And I would say yes. See, radiance is that inner beauty. And when someone is here and confident, we often say that we see that glow. It's magnified or it radiates. And when you are in the presence of a woman who is full of faith, who is full of confidence, absolutely, you can say there is something about her. You may not always be able to put words to her, but you know that there's a difference with her. And sometimes you even feel a change in the atmosphere when that woman who is radiant comes into the room. Magnetic, the ability to extraordinarily attract, not just attract a little bit, but yes, to be magnetized. And we want to be magnetic towards our great goodness, towards our opportunities, towards the things that are set aside just for us. When we're in that flow, when we're in our spirituality, we are magnetic. And then unstoppable, being persistent, being relentless, being determined, being focused. Yeah, we want to be unstoppable in pursuing our dreams and serving those we are called to serve, how we show up in the world. And one of the synonyms for unstoppable is unbroken. And that resonated with me. Unbroken. Just like there are some synonyms and antonyms for radiance and, magnetic. The synonym means to attract, and the opposite or the antonym is to repel. We want to attract those that are in alignment with what we want, and we want to repel or not have this easy access for things that are opposite. So unstoppable, continuing, moving on, unbroken. There was a time in my life when I was broken, when my identity, my self-worth took a hit, and it was deep, and I was hurting. When I had a prayer related to my oldest daughter, the prayer was not answered the way that I hoped, what I asked for, and I was devastated. As women, we often define and see our value in the roles that we fulfill at home and in our communities. And when there are some changes or some setbacks, we can take those hits. And many times the things that we may think about but not talk about. Have you ever had a setback in your life, a disappointment, a frustration, where it really caused you to question, think about who you were, what you're doing, why you are here, and perhaps even with questions like, why me? Why now? How did this happen? Well, you're not alone. We have these experiences in life. And so as I continue to talk about spirituality and inner self and feminine energy, we'll begin to explore and see how inner self-care is this path to, for some, it may be completely unlocking that inner person. It may be a path of healing what was hurt. It may be expanding so you go to the next level. So this is a path of empowerment, this inner self-care. Now, I'm going to share with you my story about how I ended up devastated. I'll share that in a couple minutes because it is truly, important and impactful. And what happened to me when my identity was questioned. Now, I said I wanted to talk about hustle culture because this is one of the things that really can press in on us and make it difficult for us to express who we are. Now, the hustle culture is not new. It's been around for decades. We have different phrases and terms for it now. We actually say hustle culture or hustle. We used to talk about the grind a lot or just working hard. So it's not new, but we reference it in a different way. And perhaps we even talk about it a little bit more because we know that we cannot separate person from personal life and professional life and expect that we will still be fulfilled. They come together when we are employees and entrepreneurs and leaders. These all work together. This hustle culture is focused on the external. It's relentless. This pursuit of accomplishments and accolades and achievements. And many times it creates this scenario of the either or. You can have a personal life or a professional life, but not both. Or if you want to have a personal life and a professional life or professional success, you have to give up something. You have to give up maybe who you are, a piece of who you are, leave something on the table, or you have to give up your health. So relentless, pursuing the external things, and they're great. I love setting my goals. I love checking off things. I love seeing that, yes, I have accomplished this. But if one is continuously going after the things, the do and the have without time and the be, Is life as enjoyable as it can be? Is it fulfilling? Is it satisfying? You know, the Bible says, what profits a man if he gains the whole world and then will lose his soul? We want to have that balance. We want to have both, because life is and both. We can have great families and a great professional life and a great and satisfying and fulfilling work life. We can be healthy, happy, and successful and satisfied with the right resources and the right tools and things that are designed just for us. Yes, the hustle culture is here, but we can escape it. Now, every year there are studies that are done about the hustle culture and done about work-life balance and workplace well-being and some other things. And in the studies, many times we see that the numbers for women are higher than those for men. Look at the results for stress. Yep, the numbers are higher for women. Look at work-life balance challenges. Yes, the numbers report that women are having more of a challenge, a struggle with that. We look at burnout, and yes, the numbers for women are higher. Now, men can feel the pressure and the strain and this heaviness from the hustle culture as well, but for women, there's this extra, there's something more, because we have to contend with, or we may be faced with, things that are related to our gender. Inequalities and disparities and things like this imbalance. And studies, even as recent as last year and this year, say that many times that the majority of the work for the home, managing the home, still will reside with the mom, with the woman in the family. So the hustle culture is there for men and women, but women, we tend to feel it a little bit more. So here we have this scenario set up where we're going about our way, right? So we are women, and yes, men too. I'm a coach for women, and I work with professional women because this hustle culture is real. And having the opportunity and ability to prioritize health makes that list of like the top 10 or top 20 challenges for women to say, I need to take time for me. This is a challenge, because whether we're dealing with the perfectionism, anybody ever have that? Or that tendency to feel as though I have to be a people pleaser? Yeah, that's that. So we're working, and it's easy for us to say, I'm going to put everything and everyone here at the top of the list, but then we have us down here. So we're going about our time, and we're going about our way, and we're working, and we're building families, and we're growing, and we're in our careers and business and in leadership. And when we aren't intentional about taking time for us, we may feel that, little dull, not as sparkly. Sometimes women will say, I had to present myself in a way that wasn't really me. I didn't feel like I could be authentic. And now we talk about authenticity, which I heard recently is the 2024 word of the year. And then we say, I want to be unapologetically authentic. So when we aren't authentic, that radiance, that inner beauty kind of feels like it goes to the back burner. And if we aren't feeling this confidence here and this radiance, are we projecting who we are? Do we feel confident in the opportunities and the things that we want? So this hustle culture is there. Not taking time the way we want for ourselves is there. We share with self-care. We talk about self-care, but we make time for self-care. But sometimes we may struggle with that too. We may think, I need 30 or 60 minutes always to take time for me. Or self-care is just about the mani and the pedi and the massage. Or if I just settle down with a cup of tea. Well, self-care is all of that and more. There are 3 levels to self-care as I teach and as I share. And it's important for us, especially if we're going to nourish who we are, the totality of the person, to know about these 3 levels. And so to be able to match the level of self-care with what we need. That first level is when we take that rest. We take a pause and we rest, especially when we are going and we put forth that activity. Think about if we were walking, doing speed walking, and we were running a race. When we got to a point where we needed to catch our breath and we needed to regain our energy, we would pause and rest. So that's level 1. Level 2 is the relaxation, where we focus on relaxing the mind. And that is key because sleep alone or resting alone, those are not always sufficient to relax the mind. So we need mindfulness and we need meditation where we can be present in the moment without judgment, without distraction. And that also helps us in that allowance. So mindfulness and even in manifestation, we are allowing. We need the relaxation. Then there is rejuvenation, which refreshes the body, the mind, and the spirit. We need to refresh and recognize that there is this interdependence and interconnection between the body, the mind, and the spirit. So taking the opportunity and having those activities where we nourish who we are, these things are very important. And when we are able to say, I want to break free from this hustle culture, that hustle culture, and we may hustle for a time. You have a project, you have something that you're going for, just like we have projects. That project has a start date, the project has an end date. And when the project is done, typically we go back to the way things were before. But we are in project mode continuously. And so while there are times when we will have the hustle, we don't want to have the hustle lifestyle, that grind and going and being overcommitted and overextended that can lead to being overloaded and sometimes overwhelmed. So identifying the level of self-care that you need, whether it's the rest, whether it's the relaxation or the rejuvenation, so important to understand how to serve and how to nourish you. And that also gives that time to say, I want to nourish my spirit. I want to make sure that I'm centered. I want to do those things to make sure that I'm grounded and I'm focused on my purpose. Well, I want to tell you now about what happened to me when I was devastated and I was broken, because my journey, my inner self-care, my escaping from the hustle culture, my introduction of feminine energy, these things are connected to how I went from broken to unbroken and how my faith played a part in that. I have 3 children, and when my oldest was in school and I had my son was a toddler, my oldest daughter had some problems with her nutrition and her absorption. So we took her to the doctor and we had some tests done. And so I prayed to God and I asked that the test results would come back normal. I prayed for a miracle and I fasted, not just prayer, but I fasted. So the day we went to get the test results, and when the doctor told us that the results were not in the normal range, I did a little hiccup inside and my faith faltered. And I'm like, I don't understand. I prayed and I asked for normal. I prayed for a miracle. I was ready in my faith development, but I was praying and wanting this miracle. So that took me for a loop and I really internally faltered. Well, that night before I went to bed, I approached God again and I prayed again, specifically. And I said, Lord, I give myself to you for my children, that my daughter will be healthy right now, not have any illness ever, not have any sickness ever. And my son, same thing for him. No illness, no sickness. And I said, Lord God, I'd rather my children always be healthy and happy without me than to have me with them and for there to be times of illness and sickness. See, as a medical doctor in my early years, I also practiced as a pediatrician. I saw firsthand how difficult and challenging it is when a child is sick, not especially when it's a major illness with prolonged hospitalization. So I saw this and I was like, I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my children. I want them to be healthy and whole. So that night, I offered myself as a sacrifice for my children and I went to sleep. In the morning, I opened my eyes And I looked around and I was still here. And within a couple of minutes, there was an explosion of emotions from me. I mean, explosion, like perfect storm. And my first one was anger. Why am I here? Why am I still here? And then it was doubt. Why am I here? And then it was fear, like, what did I do again? And then it was, what am I going to do? I prayed and God didn't take me. He didn't accept me. I felt worthless. I felt like a failure. I felt like I let my children down. I wasn't good enough. I couldn't get my prayer through. I wasn't acceptable. I was blemished. I was damaged. I wasn't worthy. God wouldn't even accept my brokenness, my blemished person as a reasonable sacrifice. And I was undone and I was broken. And after a couple minutes, again, the tears were falling. And whereas I faltered earlier that day before, I completely went in on myself. And that part of my self-worth felt like this. And that identity and confidence as it relates to a mom, all of that just shrank. And I was like this. But I didn't have long to ponder on that because we have to get things done. So although I was hurting, I didn't know what to do. I dried my eyes and I said, okay, well, I have to do this. And I went about it that day because we had to make decisions. Okay, we're going to change this and we're going to change this nutrition and do that. I was there present for things as it relates to, when I had to go back to work. But here as a woman, as a person of faith, I was not there. Now, the good news, praise be, is that my daughter, her journey, she got better. We saw some praise reports, and we had some praise reports. It wasn't the instantaneous, miraculous journey that I wanted, that I prayed for, but it happened. And as my daughter was getting her healing and was improving, I was like this. I didn't think about it. I didn't talk about it. I mean, what could I say? I didn't understand it. I couldn't put the words together. I couldn't articulate it. So how could I tell anybody else? My family, my big family, loving, warm, I couldn't tell them. Friends that I had been friends with for 20 years, I couldn't tell them. I was a leader in the church. How could I explain that I was having this major faith crisis? I couldn't make sense of it. So I just packed it away and I walked around, and this is how I felt inside. And there were a number of years that went by, and gradually I healed. Gradually, this hurt, this brokenness that I had was healed, and I went from broken to unbroken. My faith was restored. My confidence as a mom was restored. But it was a gradual process. It was a time where I focused on me. It wasn't instantaneous. And I didn't recognize what happened and how it happened until years later when I was sharing with someone, a member of the faith, and we were talking about prayer. And it was just a brief thing. And I said, by this time I was back to myself and full of faith and excited, had organized some prayer vigils and things. And I believe we were talking about the power of prayer. And I briefly mentioned how I had that faith crisis years ago and how I didn't have faith and how I questioned that and how it was even more difficult for me to go and serve in the church while I was hurting inside and I didn't know what to do. And there was even some shame or guilt about that. Well, after I shared that with that individual, I really thought about that day. And then over a number of occasions to go, well, when did I really have that healing? How did that take place? And what did I do? Because what I was able to experience, I know that it would be helpful and I know that I would be able to share it with someone else. So I thought about the steps in my progress. I thought about how I use self-care and I thought about some things. And so I was like, yes, this is an important pathway. Now, little did I know that the year before I was broken and I dealt with this hurt to my self-worth, that's when I escaped the hustle culture. That was that time. I was faced with this schedule. I was overloaded and overwhelmed and not taking time for me. And a friend brought that to my attention. I didn't have all the answers. I was afraid because, we know how to do Superwoman. We know how to do, people pleasing and some other things, but something that was new and different. I was like, not certain about that. But I said, I need to make a change. And so I let Superwoman go and I started with wellness. And so I said, number one, it's me. I had to prioritize. And then I started and making time, like I would have my calendar and pencil in me time. So I want to share with you that for many people will be the first self-care activity to say, you know what? I need to make me a priority. I need to make my well-being or my wellness a priority. I need to have a lifestyle, because if you don't, then it'll put you at risk for some other things. So I said, yes, I would say to me in my wellness. Now, little did I know when I made that decision to prioritize me, that will be a key piece of my foundation that I needed the next year when I was devastated because my self-worth was injured and I was broken. But saying yes to me the year before was important. The next thing that happened to me was that I really began to understand the power of words. I mean, in a major way. So I was at work one day and I started the day off crying. I mean, I was driving and I cried, and I get to, the hospital and I cry, and I could get it together for a little bit and do what I need to do. And then I have another crying break. And a couple of hours of this, by the time lunch came, I was just wiped out. And so I saw my boss and he said, what's going on, Angela? And I said, I'm having a hard time. I'm tired. I'm worn out. I was like, I just don't know how much longer I can do this, because we weren't in that place with my daughter where we had all of the pieces of the puzzle together. Remember, my faith was hurting. My self-worth was there. And so I'm going through some things. And as a doctor, I know all the things that could happen. So I'm feeling this. Now, my boss didn't say a whole lot. And honestly, I don't remember everything. But what I remember, the things that were most significant, turned my life around. He said, Angela, we don't always have the answer to everything. We won't. And he said, God gave you to your daughter. You are her gift, and you will help her through this. He said that, and I cried, and he went on. That turned my life around. The words, the power of words. Because I went from feeling like a failure to going, there's hope. I went from my glass being just a few drops. It wasn't, we talk about half full, half empty. My glass had just drops in it. And I went from drops to full. And I had a revelation that it wasn't about everything that what I could do, and it wasn't about everything was dependent on me. And I was like, I'm the gift to my daughter. And the other thing my boss said was, anybody could have been her mom, but God selected you. That was significant for my healing. Remember, I said before how as women, we so often our value and our self-worth can be tied into as homemakers and other roles. And I felt defeated. I felt worthless. I felt like a failure. I felt like I let my kids down when my prayers and my sacrifice didn't produce the results that I thought they would. So that affirmation, that word, I should say, turned things around. I cried some more that day. I cried the next day. My outlook, my perspective changed. And there are times when I use affirmations, and that's another thing I want to share with you, is that the power of affirmation, that positive statement, to say who you are, that affirmation helps to change and help us to move from limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. And so there are times and then, I would get it together and I could look in the mirror and I would say, Angela, I love you. I'm proud of you. You're a good mom. So the affirmations are important as part of our self-care, and they will help us. So we talk about, I am created for a purpose. I am the light of the world, and I am here to do great works. These affirmations are important, and affirmations that specifically feed into your inner self-care are key. And as we're growing and nourishing our inner self, that radiance will come out. So Those words that my boss said became an inspiration for me for affirmations. And I say to you, are you regularly sharing your affirmations written or verbalizing? Affirmations are key. So I escaped from the hustle culture. The words became even more impactful for me, and I was making affirmations. And the other thing I did was I started setting aside more time for me. I decided one year, it was maybe a year or two after everything happened, that I would take my birthday weekend and just for me. So I got a hotel room that was close to my home, and this hotel had a swimming pool, an exercise room, and also a hot tub. And I treat myself to a dinner that Friday, and I had the whole weekend planned. No clock, no schedule. The only thing that was scheduled was when I went to get my mani-pedi and my massage, because those were part of my relaxation. And during this weekend, it was all me. I would have my Bible. So I was nourishing my inner self, my spirituality. I would have my journal, and I would journal things. I had my fiction book so I could laugh, because laughter is good for the soul and laughter is medicine. And I also had a personal development book or two. And that whole weekend, it was just me. I was taking time for me. I would swim or I would exercise. I would get into the whirlpool. I was eating. I had the refrigerator with some drinks there. I was in my Bible. I was saying my affirmations. I was doing these things that nourished me, and I was nourishing me inside out. And I did this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I did it for a number of years, and it made the difference. Remember, I said I couldn't pinpoint, I can't tell you exactly when I went from broken to completely whole, but every step in this process was significant for me. So I was spending time with me, with myself during this weekend, every year for a number of years. My faith, my body, my spirit, my mind, my emotions. There was also a time when I would release things. You know what? There was something bothering me, I would release it because I was addressing my emotions as well. And there was something else that started to take place during these years when I was focusing on me and taking care of my self-care. I learned about feminine energy, reading things and becoming familiar with that. It's like, wow, this is some good stuff. I have an ebook that I've written just a little about feminine energy. It's not a whole big, dissertation about it, because it is some powerful information. And that's why as I share and I create solutions and resources for women, they are infused with and inspired by this transformative power of feminine energy. And if you know about that, if you can say, yeah, Dr. Angela, I know about this feminine energy, you know how important this could be. And also it's important to know that in this hustle culture, women, high achievers, high performers, women who are entrepreneurs and career women and leaders, the hustle culture emphasizes or really tells us that we have to overemphasize the masculine energy and we have to minimize the feminine energy. And it was even either like made as if it were important, but it is. So as women, high achievers and performers, and we're moms and we have homes and we have businesses, et cetera, we're out here in the world, and a major part of who we are, this beautiful expression of who we are, feminine energy, has been told to no, dampen down, is not significant, it's not important. So remember I mentioned being authentic, coming and sharing and being who we are, but there's this message, sometimes not so subtle, and sometimes subtle, like, we don't want that here. There's no science to that. It doesn't make sense. And we are told not to pay attention to it. But here I was on my healing journey, learning about it, reading about these different types and going, wow, this is who we are, and different expressions of who we are. And this is important. And I can be all of who I am and allow these various expressions of me to be present at times. See, masculine and feminine energy is present in both men and women. It's not just masculine for men and feminine for ladies. We have both. They complement one another. They are interconnected. And there are many things in life that are complementary and that we use in ways that are leading and supporting, just like the gas pedal and the brake. When we're leading with the gas, the brake is back here to support. And when it's time to lead with the brake, then the gas pedal is back here. And so when we talk about feminine energy, there are times when we're going to lead with those qualities and characteristics that are commonly viewed as masculine, and then while we're supporting with feminine, and then we come here with the feminine leading and supporting with the masculine. And so I was learning about this feminine energy and learning to be comfortable and confident to tap into it, and learning that this feminine energy, about the creative part and the intuition and the emotive and the feeling and being flexible and adaptive and being cooperative and empathetic. And these times when we check in with our intuition, all of this I was learning, going, wow, this is me. And I can do this and still be accomplished. And I can have my feminine energy. And at times I may start with, okay, because part of me is that scientist and I want to have the data, I want to analyze, I want to have the process, but then I check in over here with my intuition, I check in with my feelings, and I have that flexibility. And so it's the leading and the support. And I'm like, this is okay. This is a good thing. So I'm learning and I'm growing in this feminine energy. And so over years, I went from worthless, feeling like I didn't have any faith, feeling that my self-worth was gone, to then I understood my worth. And I could say in my affirmations, I am worthy. I am valuable. I deserve the great goodness that is my destiny. I deserve a life of abundance. I am beautifully and fearfully made in his image by his hands for his glory. I am his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, planned in advance for me, and to be confident that the good work that was started in me would be completed. Oh, I went from that woman who was broken to unbroken and unstoppable. I said that these things are together. I went from feeling like I didn't have anything that would be attractive or magnetic to my opportunities because a part of me didn't feel worthy. But as I learned about my feminine energy, things went to another level. Now, while there are different expressions of feminine energy, these types, as I say, there are 4 that I believe are very important and take us to this place of understanding how focusing on this inner self-care takes us to the new level, and how our radiance comes about, and we are magnetic and unstoppable. There is the wild woman. So if you think about a way that would symbolize that, that's the wild woman. It may be dance, it may be a way that you express who you are. With the wild woman, that's about our authenticity. That's about breaking free from expectations and norms. And there's a vibrant energy and there's a joy that comes about when we say, yes, it's me, and here I am. And yes, and I am unapologetically awesome. I learned about the authentic woman, and I began to unlock my radiance. And then there is the warrior. Think about the strong pose, and the warrior is that inner strength. The warrior's strength helps us to overcome challenges. It helps us in those times of adversity. It helps us with that resilience, and also that is that determination to stay with the goals, that strength. And then there is the queen. A queen knows that she is the queen. She doesn't need anybody to tell her that she is queen. She is. And the queen knows that she has authority. The queen is confident in her leadership. And the queen is absolutely sure about those boundaries, that perimeter, and she will protect and reinforce those boundaries. And she knows how to prioritize her wellness. And then there is the goddess. Now, the goddess also knows. She doesn't need anyone to tell her that she's a goddess. And with the goddess is the embodiment, I believe, of all that I just mentioned, the authenticity and the inner power, the inner strength, that authority and confidence. And we see it here in a goddess, but also that spirituality, because the goddess is saying, yes, we are 3 parts in one. It's not just a body, it's not just a mind, but it is body, mind, and spirit, and this connection. And the goddess is tuned into her spirituality. The goddess is tuned into her intuition. And the goddess is like, yes, here I am. And I learned about these expressions. And as I went through that healing journey and learned more about the wild woman, and more about the warrior, and more about the queen, and also the goddess, I was healed. I was no longer broken. And focusing in those inner parts of me, my beliefs, my emotions, my self-talk, the words that I released into the atmosphere, these were all part of my journey and how I was able to unlock my radiance, that inner beauty that was nourished, that confidence, that spirituality was then expressed, and how I was able to, and how I am able to continuously show up and be myself and include that spiritual essence, that part of me in the things that I do. The goddess. Now, this journey that I went on was a journey for years. I escaped the hustle culture. I made me a priority and began to set aside free time. And now we have phones. And I would say, if you haven't set aside time for you, this is a great time now that you can pull out your phone and 5 or 10 minutes. And I let people know you don't have to have long periods of time. Transformation can take place in 5, 10, 15 minutes. Start with 5 or 10 minutes per day, a couple days a week for you. Make you a priority and put that in your schedule. I learned about the power of words. My boss spoke those words that turned things around for me. I had a greater interest in words, and I learned about affirmations, and I used them. I still use them. Self-care that was, when I was in hustle culture, was inconsistent and not there, became a lifestyle for me, a wellness lifestyle. And I had times to rest and times and activities to relax and time to rejuvenate, meaning I refreshed my spirit as well. So my journey over a number of years. But guess what? If you're ready to unlock your radiance, if you are ready to say that there's been something that maybe has been locked away for you, or maybe a part of you was not there the way you wanted to be. You didn't feel as though you were connecting with your activities. You didn't feel as though things were lining up for you. Your journey can be shorter. And as they're preparing for the link, I want to share with you this resource that I recently created. It's a new one, and it is based on the years that I've talked with a lot of women as a medical doctor, as a coach, as a faith teacher, talking and sharing. And I tell you, over the years, I've heard over and over, I want to feel better. And I want to have more of me. I want to be myself. And that people and women have expressed that they wanted more of their faith. They wanted more of their spirituality to come into that. And so I've had the opportunity, being in my comfort zone with my spirituality, to help individuals to bring their faith, to bring their spirituality into their plan, whether it's their health or wellness plan, or whether it's in a coaching plan, to say, yes, I can bring that here with them. And I've been able to share with women about this inner self, the thoughts and emotions and the words. And I've shared with people how the inner world creates the outer world. And when I've been working with manifestation and talk about these laws, because manifestation is about things coming into alignment. So I invite you to a journey, to an odyssey, where you can unlock your radiance. This may be new for you. Maybe some of the concepts I've mentioned here may be new, but you know that there's something that you want. And so you're like, I want to wake up my day being excited. I want to wake up feeling like I am strong and I am more confident. So this may be your discovery, your awakening. Or perhaps like me, you had an event where a part of you was wounded, a part of your identity or your self-worth felt like it wasn't all there. So you're ready to, where life may have felt a little dull, you're ready to break out. Or maybe you're in this place where you have been practicing and you have this wellness lifestyle, but you know this is your time. You're going to another level. And whenever we go to another level, we have to make room in here expand so that as we go here, we are able to do it. So I invite you to a 4-week odyssey to unlock your radiance, to become magnetic or more so and unstoppable. And I have an inner self-care kit that's called Goddess on the Go. And it's the link that you see right there for the inner self-care kit. And in this kit, there is the ebook. This is digital. So there's the ebook that talks about why it's time for us to really have this revolution and not just talk about self-care, but inner self-care. What's going on? Why are we feeling as women this pressure from society? It talks about the different types of energy, and it talks about masculine and feminine energy. And for some, then you may read that ebook and may go, this is exactly what I need. Or you may decide that you want to drill down more into the expressions of yourself, your feminine energy. And so for 4 weeks, you have the opportunity with specific self-care activities to focus on the wild woman, to focus on the warrior, the queen, and the goddess. And as you're going through the prompts and you're going through the activities, this is personalized for you. This is what you need at this time, right here, right now. And so that link is at the bottom. Now, as you have it, there's a little technology glitch because I updated the part about the affirmations and it was glitching. So if you make that purchase within the next 24 hours or so, be sure to include your email on the place on that invoice so that we can get you the tip sheet on affirmations. It talks about, again, what is an affirmation? Why does it work? The different types like the I can, the I am, I have, and I release, and I attract, and I create, because there are different phrases or different ways that we use affirmations. So this is your time to enjoy this journey, to embrace this and work on you from the inside out and have your radiance unlocked, explode, and more of your magnetism to come forth and for you to be unstoppable, relentless, persistent, dedicated. This is your day and this is your time. And again, I invite you to explore and to benefit from this journey that was truly life-changing for me. And I continue to periodically go through this exercise because it's not just a one and done. I do this so that I can continue to know that I am in alignment, that I can continue to be nourishing my spirit, and to have that confidence to show up in the world according to my purpose and my greatness and my genius and my giftedness. All of us are. You were created for a purpose. You were created to be great. You were created to do great works, and you were created to live a great life. And when all of you is in alignment, first of all, your soul is going to resonate with you. You're going to feel it. Some people say soul, some people say spirit. You're going to feel it. And then you will notice a difference on how things happen for you. If you know what I mean, comment in the chat and you can say, yes, yes, you've been there. I have enjoyed our time together. And again, I want to invite you and say, you can wake up with excitement and you can wake up with the desire to start every day afresh and to move and flow according to the various expressions that you need from your energy. This can be your lifestyle. This can be you. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you. Thank you that I had the opportunity. Thank you to talk about spirituality. That's so important. And to elevate and promote this message that we all need right now for such a time as this, and for women to be empowered as it relates to their wellness, as it relates to who they are, their authenticity, and not be afraid to show up in all their glory and genius. The wild woman, the warrior, the queen, and the goddess. So I thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.